Hey ladies, so yeah, people who lack discernment actually scare me because how are you navigating life without an internal compass? How are you navigating life without being able to pick up on cues and pick up on energy shifts and pick up on people's covert ways? How are you not being more militant and vigilant about protecting yourself? How are you navigating this earth without an antenna, without a way to be able to tell someone's true intentions or not? I just feel like some people are happy with complacency. They're happy with not really knowing the truth about certain things or certain people, and they will allow any and everything to go on right under their nose if it means that they can stay asleep. And I'm sorry, but I'm just not that type of girl. I don't believe in turning a blind eye to things because I want to be comfortable or because I like it here and I'm enjoying myself. No, I would much rather swallow the hard pill and have to come to terms with someone being a weirdo or someone not being for me than to sit there and deal with something or tolerate something because I'm not ready for the consequences. So that's the type of archetype of person who I want to talk about here today, because those types of people scare me. The types of people who things happen to and they don't really self-reflect or look around at their circle or look around at the choices they made. Those people who are just kind of oblivious and in La La Land, I'll make a completely different video about those types of people because they're tricky. I'm talking about the people in this video specifically who know in their bones that something may not be right, who have got that spidey sense that something may be off, someone may be off, that they maybe shouldn't do a certain thing or keep a certain person around them or engage in certain behaviors and then continue to do it and then are mad at the world or mad at the people close to them when consequences arrive, as they always do. For me, when people lack discernment or when people try to turn a blind eye to things and try to chalk it up to lacking discernment, it scares me because it's you would sit there and allow things to happen that could harm yourself and others, and you simply do not care. And if you don't care about your own well-being, your own self, I know you're not going to care about me. And so what do I look like engaging with someone like that, being close to someone like that, calling someone like that a friend, wanting to hang out with someone like that? I don't want to hang out with people who lack discernment, because what that tells me is that when you're in a sticky situation, you won't even know how to save yourself, let alone help save me. You're operating in this world like you don't have to be smart, be wise, fact check certain things, do your research on people in certain situations. You just operate in the world without a care. This is real life. And so people who lack discernment are scary too, because I think that they allow a lot of toxicity to enter their lives without realizing it or without feeling like they need to do anything about it. See, people who lack discernment think that chaos is normal. People who lack discernment think abusers are healthy people. People who lack discernment think that a toxic work environment just means, oh, I'm being challenged, and if I work hard enough, I'll get a raise or promotion. People who lack discernment lack the ability to use wisdom and foresight. They feel like because something is comfortable or easy for them, or because something may be working for them specifically, they can ignore all the red flags, they can ignore all the signs, and in a lot of ways, they dishonor their own internal protection system, which is going off, telling them, hey, something you're doing is dangerous. This person is dangerous. This friend you have around you is not your friend. Ignoring those signals, consciously ignoring those signals, is very dangerous to me. So I want to tell you guys a little mini story time, and this is a continuation of a story that I made on this channel a couple months back about these two girls from my dance studio. And in my story that I shared, I spoke about Hunchback Hannah, and some of my OGs who've been with me for a while may remember the Hunchback Hannah story. So to make a long story short, Hunchback Hannah decided to insert herself in a conversation I was having with this other girl. We'll call her Miranda. Me and Miranda were talking on one of the first days of my intro class. In walks Hunchback Hannah, and Hunchback Hannah decides to insert herself in our conversation, but not only inserts herself, but doesn't greet me or say hello to me, only greets Miranda, and then proceeds to hijack the conversation while only addressing Miranda. So, as you can imagine, that's incredibly rude and disrespectful. And immediately I knew this girl didn't like me. And that's how I was able to tell that there was beef with me and Hunchback Hannah. Just to put into context as well, both Miranda and Hunchback Hannah are white. So naturally from that day, I always looked at Hunchback Hannah sideways because I always felt like that was such a huge microaggression for her to insert herself in my conversation, hijack it, take it over like it was something she started, and then completely disregard me like I'm not sitting there, like I'm not a part of the conversation, and only look at and address Miranda. So after she had done this a couple times, because the first time she did it, it kind of sent a signal to me that something was weird about her, but it took her doing it more for me to really be able to like say with my full chest and my whole chest that I knew she was weird. So after this had happened a couple of times, instead of me questioning Hannah's motives, because a hater is a hater, this is what they do. Weird people do weird things. And so I just chalk Hannah up to being weird, a weird ass bitch. But the person who I'm looking at sideways is Miranda. And this is a lesson for all of us to look a little bit deeper when we're dealing with groups and we're dealing with like trio scenarios. Pay very close attention to the person who seems clueless or indifferent. Okay? In my story, Miranda is the clueless bimbo who's pretending as though she doesn't realize that this other girl is being rude to me. And instead of her to acknowledge that there's some funny business going on, what did she end up doing? She ended up becoming besties with Hunchback Hannah. So now I'm looking at you sideways even more because any normal person who doesn't have any weirdo traits or behaviors would kind of be put off by someone taking over a conversation that had nothing to do with them, and then also purposely going out of their way to disregard and ignore the person who was in the conversation prior. So the fact that she didn't think it was weird or didn't show in her body language or in her behavior that what Hunchback Hannah did was strange, she also became besties with the bitch. So now it's like when I go to my dance class, it's like I have this really hostile, mean energy coming from Hunchback Hannah, very rude, very passive aggressive. But then you have Miranda who's smiling in my face, who's acting like she doesn't realize what's going on, who's acting like there's not this weird tension between me and Hunchback Hannah for some reason. And the reason why people like this scare me is because why are you letting that slide? Why are you pretending like you can't discern the situation, what's going on, while also befriending someone who's also weird? You know what I'm saying? For me, when I see this type of stuff happen, it makes me feel like you're just as weird. That's why people like that scare me, because it's like you can't discern that this person is being unnecessarily hostile toward another person. You can't see that with your own eyes. So no one's saying I want to be Miranda's friend in any way, but I always find it funny to see the sides that people choose. It always fascinates me, ladies. Something you need to understand about me when it comes to people and the things that I notice about people, it's always the principle. And if I notice that a person would pick the side of a toxic individual because they're comfortable with them, maybe they're less attractive, so you feel more comfortable being in their space. Maybe they stroke your ego in a way I'm not going to stroke it. Maybe you feel less intimidated over there, or maybe you like how they're treating me low key. Maybe you enjoy the covert attacks from Hunchback Hannah, and you would rather be a part of it in a covert way by befriending her, but smiling in my face at the same time. And that's why people like that scare me, is because you picked a side and that side is weird. You picked the weird side. And so for me, Miranda immediately became a weirdo once I noticed how close she got with Hunchback Hannah. Especially me being one of the only women of color, black women, in that studio. For you to see that type of microaggressions being aimed at me, you should be turned off by it. But the fact that you chose a side lets me know that no matter how much you smile in my face, I know who you are. So ladies, I just want to leave us with saying this. People who lack discernment let life happen to them. They think that they're bigger than the program. They could be watching something bad happen to another person and think that whoever is doing the bad thing would never do it to them. They think that they're so above what the next person is experiencing. Whole time they're setting themselves up to receive the same exact treatment because they sat by in complacency and in comfortability, and because maybe that person was stroking their ego or was flattering them and made them believe that they could never go through those things, and now they think that they're untouchable. They think that for some reason their privilege or their status or their perceived privilege and status makes them untouchable. They think that the situations in life that happen to others won't happen to them. They live in a state of delusion. And that's why people who lack discernment scare me. They have no moral compass and they have no principles to stand on. So life does them in every time. So ladies, that is all I have for you today. Drop down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts down below. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box as usual, where you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.